The sky was full of smoke. Ash fell slowly, like black snow. Buildings stood broken, like skeletons of a dead city. Ava crawled across the cracked metal street. Her body was shaking. Her clothes were torn. Her legs, they were gone, only blood. And wires were left where her legs used to be. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She had no energy left for that. Ava had been crawling for almost 2 hours. Her arms were numb, but her eyes stayed open. She was looking for one place, the limb market. She had heard stories. A secret shop in the old war zone, where people sold cybernetic arms, legs, and eyes. If you had money, they could rebuild your body. If you had no money, you had to trade something else. Finally, she reached a steel door. A red neon sign blinked above it. Limb market parts for any price. Ava lifted one shaking hand and pushed the door. Inside, the room smelled like oil and blood. Robotic legs hung from hooks. Some clean, some still with skin on them. A fat mechanic with metal arms stood behind a desk. He looked down at her. "What do you want?" he asked, voice cold. "I need legs," Ava whispered. Her lips were dry. Her voice was weak. The mechanic laughed. "Do you have credits?" She shook her head. "No, but I can trade. Take my arms, my eyes, my skin, whatever you want. Just, please, let me walk again." The mechanic came closer. He leaned down. "Everything has a price, girl, but maybe we can make a deal." Just then, someone stepped from the shadows, a tall man. Worn jacket, dark eyes, a metal toolkit in his hand. He spoke calmly. "She's not for sale." The mechanic frowned. "Who are you?" The man didn't answer. He knelt beside Ava. She looked up at him. His face was kind, but tired, like someone who had seen too much. He gently touched her shoulder. "You don't have to do this," he said softly. Ava blinked. "But I can't walk. I can't survive." "You don't need to give away your body," he said. "There's another way," the mechanic growled. "If you want her, take her. But don't come back here." The man lifted Ava in his arms. She was light. Too light. As they stepped outside, the mechanic called out, "She'd die without tech. You know that, right?" The man didn't look back. They walked through dark alleys. The city was silent except for distant drones humming in the sky. Ava tried to speak. "Why, are you helping me?" The man looked ahead. "Because I've seen what they do to people like you." "Who are you?" she asked. He stopped walking. For a moment he was silent. "My name is Kale," he said. "I used to build machines. Now I fix people." Ava closed her eyes. For the first time in days, she felt safe. Kale's hideout was deep underground. An old bunker filled with tools, wires, screens, and half-finished machines. It wasn't beautiful, but it was warm and quiet. He laid her down on a soft table. He cleaned her wounds with gentle hands. "No pain, no fear. You're lucky," he said. "You lost your legs below the knee. I can build something new for you." Ava looked at him. "But I have nothing to give you." Kale shook his head. "I don't want anything." "Why?" she asked. He didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Because once someone helped me too." As Kale began working, sparks flew. He shaped metal like an artist, each part made with care. Ava watched, amazed. "You're not like the others," she said. Kale smiled a little. "No, I'm not." Time passed. Hours, maybe more. Finally Ava whispered, "Will I walk again?" Kale looked at her, his voice calm but strong. "You won't just walk," he said. "You'll run." Outside, far above, a drone flew silently past the clouds. Inside, a screen blinked red. Unknown presence detected. Tracking signal active. Someone, somewhere, was watching, and they were coming. Ava opened her eyes to the soft hum of machines. The air smelled like metal and warm plastic. She wasn't in the limb market anymore. She was lying on a padded bench, wires hanging above her like vines, screens glowing on the walls with strange symbols. Her first thought was fear. She remembered. The mechanic, the pain, the offer she had made. Then she remembered the man Kale. She sat up quickly, but her body wasn't ready. Her arms gave out, and she hit the bench again with a soft grunt. That's when she saw him. Kale was at a workbench with his back turned. His hands moved fast, connecting small parts, adjusting a silver leg frame with small motors and black carbon plates. He was focused, almost too focused. Like someone running from his own thoughts, Ava spoke, her voice dry. "Why are you helping me, Kale?" Didn't turn right away. He tightened one last bolt, then placed the tool down. Finally he faced her. "Because you didn't beg for your life, you begged to walk. That matters to Mesh." Didn't know what to say. He walked over, handed her a bottle of water, and checked the sensors connected to her legs. They were not real legs, not yet. Only stubs wrapped in clean fabric and temporary connectors. But she could feel something strange, like a soft tingling in her muscles. "Are those nerves?" "Yes. Your nervous system is still active. That's rare after blast injuries. It means you're strong." The word felt foreign, like it didn't belong to her. "You were in a war." "Right, I wasn't a soldier. I was in the wrong place. Just a delivery girl. But when the bomb dropped, I lost my legs, and my job, and my family." Kale nodded without asking more. He understood what loss looked like. "I used to build weapons, Ava. Smart drones, combat limbs, synthetic brains. The government paid me well. Then I saw what they did with my work. What they turned people into." He walked to a shelf and pulled out a photo. It showed him with a group of engineers, all smiling in front of a massive robotic suit. But the background wasn't a lab. It was a battlefield. They used our tech to destroy entire cities, and to build machines that looked like people. Ava stared at the photo. Her heart began to race. "Is that what I am? A machine?" "No. You're human. I scanned your DNA, your blood. Whatever they did to you, they didn't finish it. Or maybe you escaped before they could." Kale placed the photo down and leaned closer. "But there's something inside you I don't understand. A signal, buried deep. I found it when I scanned your shoulder." "What kind of signal?" "It's a beacon. It's sending a short burst every hour. Not strong. Not military grade. But enough for someone to track." "So they're coming for me?" "Yes. But I wiped the signal. At least for now." Ava felt cold. Not from fear, but from the weight of not knowing who she was anymore. What if I was supposed to be one of those machines? What if I was made to kill? Then you've already broken their plan. You chose to survive. You crawled across a battlefield for the right to walk. That doesn't sound like a killer. A soft alarm rang from one of the screens. Kale turned quickly. A red light blinked. "Surveillance drone detected. 4 sectors away. We need to move soon." "But what about the legs? I can finish them in a few hours. They'll be better than anything the black market sells. And they'll only respond to you." "Why?" "Because you're not a weapon. Not anymore. You're a person. You deserve control over your own body." Ava closed her eyes, not from pain, but from something else. Maybe hope. Kale returned to his workbench. His hands moved again, fast, precise. But this time there was something different in his eyes. This wasn't just about building legs. It was about building freedom. Hours passed. The world outside grew darker. The war never really stopped. It just moved in waves inside the bunker. Life began to return, piece by piece. Wire by wire. Watched every move Kale made. She didn't trust the world. But maybe she could trust him above them. A drone flew past the clouds. It hovered, scanned, then moved on. But in the shadows of Sector 7, someone else had found the signal. A figure with red eyes stood still, watching, waiting. She's alive. The figure turned and disappeared into the smoke. The hunt had begun. The lights inside the bunker shifted from red to soft white. Morning had come, though no sun touched this place. Underground, time moved differently. It was measured by pain, by progress, by silence. Kale stood beside the table, holding two metallic legs shaped like art and war combined. Slim, strong, with hidden plates and soft pressure pads. Ava stared at them, unsure if they were hers. "Are you ready?" Ava nodded without speaking. Her body trembled, not from fear of pain, but fear of falling. She had not stood in days. Her muscles had forgotten how. Her mind had not. Kale lifted her carefully. He connected the sockets, adjusted the neural links, watched the response rate on the screen. Then he stepped back. Eva looked down at her new legs. They did not feel like strangers. They felt like a second chance. She pushed against the bench with both hands, felt the floor under her new feet. The first attempt was shaky. Her body swayed like a branch in strong wind. Kale moved to catch her. She raised a hand. Let mesh stood. Again, this time slower. Balance returned like a forgotten memory. She took one step, then another. No pain, no limit. Just motion. She laughed, not loud, not forced. A soft laugh that tasted like freedom. Kale smiled too. His work had meaning again. These legs are yours. They won't respond to anyone else. They're locked to your nervous system and voice code. What does that mean? It means no one can take them from you. Ava took another step, then one more. Her movements grew stronger, faster. She moved across the room like she had never been broken. Her smile faded when she saw the screen. A red mark blinked in the corner. Kale noticed it too. That's not supposed to be there. He pressed a few keys. The screen zoomed in. A map. Sector 7. One red heat signature, small and still, hidden among ruins. It was not a drone. It was something else. Someone is watching. Ava stepped closer. How long has it been there? 2 hours. It hasn't moved. Just watching. Waiting. Could it be military maybe, or worse? A collector. What's that? Collectors are bounty hunters. They don't ask questions. They take what they're paid for. Sometimes bodies, sometimes minds, sometimes memories. Why would anyone pay for me? Because you are rare. Your body survived the military experiment, and you have something inside you that no one can understand. That makes you valuable. Ava stepped back. Her breath grew short. She remembered the tracking signal, the drone. The fear. We need to leave. Not yet. First, we test how fast you can run. Kale led her to a long tunnel behind the lab. Lights flickered across the ceiling. The floor was uneven, like the outside world. Ready? Ava nodded again. Run. She moved like wind against stone. Her steps made no sound. Her balance held. The legs obeyed. No delay. No fear. She reached the end of the tunnel and turned around. Her heart raced with something new. Power. I feel strong. You are strong. She walked back toward Kale, her face calm but alert. What about the signal? Could it still be sending? It's possible. If they planted a secondary beacon deeper inside, then we have no time. Kale opened a metal drawer and handed her a black cloak. It folded over her shoulders, hiding the shine of her legs. He gave her a small chip too. What's this? Identity scrambler. Changes your heat signature and pulse pattern. It might buy us time. Ava stared at the tunnel ahead, then at the screen behind. Whoever is out there, they won't stop. Then we make sure they have a reason to be afraid. She picked up a wrench from the bench. Heavy, cold, balanced. She looked at it like a weapon, then like a memory. Outside, in Sector 7, the spy stepped forward. He was tall, skin like steel, eyes like fire. A single red line blinked across his temple. He watched the bunker entrance, silent, still, focused. She is awake. He turned away and vanished into the smoke. A signal pulsed from his wrist. Target confirmed. Prepare. Phase 2. Ava walked into the dark hallway, her legs silent, her eyes sharp. She was no longer the broken girl from the war zone. Aisha was something else now, and someone was about to find out what that meant. Asterisk. The city above was burning again. Smoke rose in slow waves as old machines fought new enemies. No one knew who fired first. No one cared. The war had stopped meaning something a long time ago below the surface. In the tunnel system, Ava walked beside Kale. Her legs moved without struggle. The new cloak hid the steel, but her eyes could not hide the fire inside. She had not slept. She had not slowed down. Her mind kept asking the same question, who am I? Kale walked quietly. His hands moved across a small scanner. Every few minutes he checked the map. One red blip had become two. We are not alone. How close are they? Half a sector can. We lose them not yet. But I know a place. A place with answers. They passed through old maintenance shafts in silent train tracks. The walls were cracked. Messages in faded paint warned of past disasters. Ava read the words without blinking. Do not enter restricted Lazarus. Facility 09. She stopped walking. Lazarus scale turned around. You remember that name? She nodded slowly. I think I've heard it before. In my dreams. In voices that don't belong to me. Then we are in the right place. He pulled a hidden lever behind a broken control panel. The wall shifted open with a low mechanical sound. Inside was a narrow hall with lights that flickered, but never died. The air smelled like dust and medicine. Welcome to the ghost of a secret. They walked deeper. Screens lined the walls, some still working. Logos of old science corporations flashed briefly before turning black again. Looked around. Each screen showed diagrams. Human bodies with wires instead of nerves. Brains connected to black cores. Memories stored like files. She stared at one file. Name Project Lazarus Phase 2 Test Subject AV09. She touched the screen. Is this me? Kale studied the file. His face changed. AV09. Ava, you weren't just in the wrong place during the attack. You were taken. You were part of something much older. She stepped back. Her heart raced without reason. I don't remember any of this. I was a courier. I worked in the outer zone. He placed a hand on her shoulder. Maybe that was real. Or maybe it was given to you. These labs were shut down 10 years ago. Most files were erased, but not this one. She turned to the wall. Another file open. Subject of V09 shows unique neural resistance. Does not respond to standard control signals. Possible anomaly. Terminate if unresponsive. They tried to control you. And you refused. Ava looked down at her hands. They felt like hers, but her memories did not. Flashes came without warning. A white room. A woman with cold eyes. A machine that spoke her name like a command. They wanted to use me, yes, but something happened. Either you escaped, or someone set you free. The floor trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. A distant sound echoed through the tunnels. Metal against metal. Heavy steps. They found us not yet. But they will. Ava moved quickly. Her steps were sure. No longer afraid of her legs. No longer afraid of the truth. What is Project Lazarus? Scale answered as they walked. A government experiment. They took the wounded, the forgotten, the hopeless. They replaced their parts, rewrote their minds. The goal was simple. Build the perfect soldier. One who doesn't ask why. Why call it Lazarus? Because they brought the dead back to life. They reached a vault door. Kale entered a code. The door opened. Slowly. Inside was a single chair and a screen still working. The screen showed memories. A girl running. A girl screaming. A girl fighting back. Ava stood still. Her voice steady. That's me, yes. But this memory is not just yours. Someone left it. For you. Someone wanted you to find it. She sat in the chair. The screen changed. Text appeared. AV09 neural lock removed. Identity core reactivated. Manual control disabled. What does this mean? It means you're free. The lights went out for 1 second, then came back. The vault door shut behind them. On the outside, a tall figure touched the wall. His hand left a red glow. His voice cold and flat. She's active. Another voice answered through a device. Bring her back, or don't bother coming back. The figure stepped back, pulled out a long blade shaped like a needle. His eyes glowed faint red. He was not here to ask questions. He was here to bring the dead back under control. The air inside the vault turned heavy. The lights flickered in a rhythm that felt like breathing. Ava stood in front of the memory screen while Kale adjusted something behind her. The silence was sharp. Kale tapped a control key. Data began to scroll faster. Numbers, commands, voice logs. Then came a name. Zarenova looked up, her eyes locked on the word. She whispered it aloud without knowing. Why do you know that name? I think so. It sounds like a part of me that got left behind the screen. Changed again. A new file appeared. Unauthorized access detected. External override in progress. Gale moved fast. He shut down the power and pulled the memory core from the terminal. The vault shook. Something hit the door from outside. Not once, not twice, but in a steady pattern like footsteps made from steel. Fire here, not yet. But close. Ava grabbed the memory core. Her hand tightened around it. A light flashed on its side. Blue, then red. Then still. We need to move now. They ran down a side tunnel. Wires hung from the ceiling like roots from a dead tree. The floor turned wet. The path turned narrow. Ahead was a lift. We go up. Street level. Ava stepped in first. Kale followed. He pressed the control. The lift rose with a loud creak. Behind them, the vault door finally gave in. A loud crash echoed below. Then silence. Whoever broke in was fast, but not careless. The lift reached the surface. They stepped into a burnt alley behind a collapsed hospital. The city was smoke and silence. Ava turned her head quickly. A shape stood in the fog, human in form, not human in movement. Red eyes locked onto her from across the street. Kale raised his hand, moved too late. The figure charged with speed no body should have. Ava reacted without thinking. Her legs moved on instinct. She jumped to the side as the enemy crashed into a wall. The fight began. Kale pulled a shock pistol from his belt. Fired twice. The figure dodged. Ava picked up a pipe. Swung hard. Metal hit metal. Sparks flew. She looked into his face. Pale skin, no emotion. He spoke with a voice that echoed. Return the subject. Not yours to take. You were built, not born. Ava grabbed a loose cable and jammed it into the figure's side. Power surged. The enemy froze for 1 second. Kale fired again. This time it hit. The figure dropped to one knee. Wires exposed. Body twitching. Ava ran. Kale followed. They didn't speak. No time. They reached an old safe house. One Kale had not used in years. Inside was dark, still, emptier. So they thought a soft voice came from the shadows. You made it. Ava turned. A woman stepped out. Same eyes, same shape. But something off. The woman smiled. You remember me? Ava stepped back. Serenes. I came for you. Kale raised his pistol. You're one of them. Saren laughed. I was. But I left. Same as her. They called us twins. Not by blood, by code. You knew me. We trained together, ran together. Then they wiped your mind. I escaped before they wiped mine. Why now? Because I heard your signal. And because they want you back. Ava lowered her hand. Then help us stop them. Saren looked at Kale, then at the memory core in Ava's hand. Give me the core. I can unlock it fully. It will show you everything. Ava hesitated. How do I know you're not lying? Because I remember the last thing you said to me before they took you. You said run. You said don't let them turn me into a ghost. Ava placed the core in her hand. Saren connected it to her wrist port. Lights blinked. The room lit up with old files, images, sounds, screams. Then everything went dark. Kale stepped forward. What happened? The files are locked. I need time outside. The city shook. Something big was coming inside. Ava felt something wrong. Her head spun. Her balance shifted. Kale caught her as she stumbled. It's the signal. It's getting stronger. Saren looked at her. Then we don't have time. She turned back to the core. Her fingers moved quickly. Suddenly the screen turned red. Remote override detected. Kale moved toward her. What did you do before he could reach her? Saren stepped back. Her smile was gone. "I'm sorry." The room exploded in white light. Kale hit the wall. Ava dropped to the ground. When she looked up, Siren was gone. So was the core. Ava stood slowly, her heart silent. Her face cold. She trusted the wrong memory, and now someone else held the truth. Smoke filled the air as fire climbed the walls of the safe house. The memory core was gone. The trust was broken. Ava stood in the center of the room with her hands clenched and her eyes burning. Kale pulled her away from the collapsing wall. His voice was sharp and steady. "We have to move." Ava said nothing. Her legs responded before her mind. The floor cracked behind them. Flames reached for their backs like living things. They escaped through the west door. The tunnel beyond was narrow and full of wires that sparked with every step. Ava could still feel the weight of Siren's betrayal in her chest. She asked the question without looking back. "Was I really like her once?" Kale answered while scanning the path ahead. "Maybe. But something stopped you from becoming what they wanted." Something fought back. Ava turned her head slightly. Something or someone. They reached a fork in the tunnel. One side led to the surface. The other went deeper underground. Kale pointed to the lower path. "We go down. If she activated the core, every tracker in the region has your location now." Ava followed. Her steps were silent. The light above began to flicker again. Somewhere far behind them, heavy feet hit the ground, one after another. Getting closer, Kale looked at the map again. His face tensed. 4 inbound signals, moving fast. Full strength units. They want you back alive. But not whole then. "I fight." "Not yet. First we run. Then we fight on our terms." They entered a deep vault chamber filled with cables, old weapon crates, and a dusty workbench. Kale moved fast. He pulled open a locker and grabbed 2 pulse grenades and a backup energy rifle. Ava stepped toward the wall. A mirror stood there. Cracked but clear enough. She looked at herself. Not broken, not lost. Not just human. Not machine either. "What am I now?" Kale loaded the rifle. "You are what they never expected." "Free." The sound came again. This time closer. Kale set 1 grenade at the door. Then handed Ava a device no larger than a coin. "What is this?" "Escape protocol. My design. You press it. You vanish. One-time use. It wipes your signal for 7 minutes. Enough to disappear and I stay and stall them. I know how they think. I know how they break." She shook her head. "No. We leave together." Kale stared at her. The room trembled again. Then he spoke. "You made a choice once, not to become a weapon. Make one more." Ava tightened her grip on the device. Her legs shifted. Her balance changed. For a moment, everything slowed down. Her body felt lighter, stronger. The air around her pulsed. Something was waking inside her. She dropped the device. Her voice was clearing. "Done running." The door exploded inward. 2 units entered, tall, fast, eyes glowing. They moved like shadows with purpose. Ava launched forward. Her legs released a burst of kinetic energy. She hit the first unit before it could react. Metal cracked. Wires burst. The second unit raised its arm. Built-in cannon charged. Ava dodged left. Grabbed the old energy pipe from the wall. Swung it. With full force, the unit collapsed. Kale stepped forward to cover her back. He fired at the 3rd unit entering from the right. It dropped instantly. The last one paused. Looked at Ava. Spoke in a voice full of command. "Protocol override confirmed. AV-09 detected. Begin shutdown." Ava stepped closer. Her eyes locked on the machine. "You don't control me." The unit raised a pulse blaster. Ava raised her hand. A wave of energy burst from her palm. Pure, silent, unstoppable. The unit hit the wall and shattered. Kale stood in silence. "You released something. That's not tech. That's will." Ava walked to the broken unit, picked up a piece of its control chip. Looked at the number. Unit 12. Project Lazarus Phase 1 then. Whispered I was their next phase. Alarms rang across the underground facility. Ava looked at Kale, no fear. No confusion. We finish this. Where do we go? To the source, to where this began, to where they turned people into ghosts. Outside, the city was changing. Drones filled the sky. Lights turned red. Broadcast started across. Broken screen. Subject: a VO9 has gone rogue. All active units engage. Do not negotiate. Do not delay. Ava stepped into the night. Her legs strong. Her mind clear. Her path chosen. She was not going to be hunted anymore. She was going to be remembered. The city was no longer quiet. Sirens screamed through broken towers. Drones flew like vultures across the skies. Every screen flashed the same warning: subject: AVO9 is active. Terminate on sight. Ava moved through the war-torn streets with purpose. Cloak torn, her new legs stained from battle, but she did not slow down. She was heading toward the heart of it all. Kale walked beside her with steady steps, his gear low on power, his hands marked with burns. But he never looked back. They reached the outer gate of a hidden facility. No name, no guards. Just silence that waited like a trap. This is where they built Project Lazarus. Eva stepped forward. Her memories began to return like flickers of flame. She remembered the white walls, the cold voices, the metal table where they tried to erase her. This is where they tried to make me a weapon. Kale opened the gate using a stolen code. The doors hissed apart. Inside was a tunnel lined with glass chambers. Each one held a shape, some broken, some asleep. All forgotten. What is this place? These were the failures, the ones who didn't survive the process. Ava walked past them with quiet eyes. Some of the faces looked familiar, like dreams that once meant something. She reached the final chamber. It was empty, but her name was written across the glass of O9. Perfect compliance expected. Emotional purge in progress. She turned away, her voice clear. I am not your subject. I am not your project. I am not your property. An alarm triggered. The lights turned red. A voice echoed from hidden speakers. AVO9. Return to stasis. Final warning issued. A tall machine stepped out from the far corridor. It was covered in silver armor. Its voice was the same one from her past. You are not meant to think. You are not meant to choose. You are ours. Ava stepped forward, her hands open, her eyes steady. You built my body, but you never reached my mind. You gave me parts, but I found my soul. The machine raised its weapon. Kale moved to block it. Ava stopped him. Let me finish it. Machine fired. Ava moved faster than sound. Her legs launched her into the air. She landed on the machine, ripped open its core, and placed the memory drive Siren had left behind. The machine paused. It began to tremble. Files opened. Truth spilled out. Ava had once been loyal. Then she had been erased. Then she had chosen to run. The system broke. The red lights turned blue. Every chamber in the hallway unlocked. Forgotten began to wake up, each one with a number, each one once considered property. They stepped into the light, not as weapons, but as people. Ava turned to them. You were never machines. You were never tools. You were never for sale. Kale walked to her side, his voice steady and proud. You're human, and no one can take that from youth. Facility began to collapse. The central AI fried itself in panic. The system could not handle choice. It had never planned for hope. Ava and Kale led the survivors out through the emergency route. The city waited, not with fear, but with questions. Who are they? Where did they come from? Why did they look like broken machines, but walk like heroes? Ava stepped onto the main street, her face marked by smoke and fire, her voice steady. I am not a number. I am not your product. I am not for sale. She raised her eyes to the sky. I am human, and I choose who I become.